The hotel room smelled faintly of whiskey and regret. My eyes burned as they fluttered open. The sheets tangled around me like ropes I couldn't untie. And there he was sitting at the edge of the bed, his hand gripping mine as if letting go would kill him. I almost laughed. Of course, it would be him. Out of all the people in New York City, out of all the nights I could have blacked out, fate had the cruel sense of humor to drop me back into the orbit of the one person I had sworn I'd never see again. Where the hell are my friends? I croaked, voice rough, throat sandpapered with alcohol and something heavier I didn't want to name. They left, he said simply, his tone low, steady, maddeningly calm as if it wasn't the middle of the night, as if he wasn't my biggest mistake sitting inches away. I yanked my hand back, but he tightened his grip. His fingers were warm, familiar, dangerous. Let go, I whispered, though my chest screamed otherwise. No, that single word was a blade. It cut through years of silence, through the wreckage we'd both left behind, through every lie I'd told myself about being over him. I sat up too fast, the room spinning, my body reminding me of last night's sins. The city buzzed faintly outside the window sirens in the distance. The hum of traffic, New York refusing to sleep even when I wanted to disappear. Why are you here? My voice cracked. Why now, Ethan? His jaw flexed. He looked older, sharper, like the years had carved him into something harder. But his eyes hadn't changed. They still carried that same softness, that maddening sincerity that once broke me open and stitched me back together, only to shatter me all over again. I came because you called me, he said. I froze. My heart stuttered in my chest. That's impossible. I haven't. You called me last night. You were drunk out of your mind. You asked for me, begged me to come. My stomach churned. The fragments of last night crashed through me like shards of glass. Laughter, shots, neon lights blurring into nothing. And somewhere in the haze, a phone pressed to my ear, his name on my lips like a prayer I had no right to whisper. No, I muttered, shaking my head. No, I wouldn't, but I had. And he was here. Ethan's thumb brushed over my knuckles, and I hated how my skin still remembered the map of his touch. Tell me why, he said softly. Why after everything? You still call me when you're falling apart? I wanted to scream. I wanted to tear my hand from his and throw every cruel word I'd rehearsed over the years. But all I could do was look at him, the boy who once promised me forever under the summer rain. The boy who left me bleeding on a subway platform without looking back. I don't know, I whispered, and it was the closest thing to the truth I could offer. The silence between us was unbearable, pressed against the walls, against my ribs, suffocating. Finally, I dragged my hand from his and stood, my legs trembling. I grabbed the first shirt I saw and pulled it over my head, desperate for armor. You shouldn't be here, I said, though my voice lacked conviction. You and I, we're done. We've been done. Ethan rose slowly, his presence filling the room like a storm. You don't believe that, he murmured. And damn him, he was right. That morning cracked me open in ways I hadn't prepared for. The city felt different, heavier, every street corner carrying ghosts of us. Ethan didn't leave after that night. He lingered, like New York itself had tethered him to me. And I let him. God help me, I let him. Because the truth was simple. Love like ours doesn't vanish. It hides, it festers, it waits. And sometimes against every rule of survival it comes back. The coffee in my hand went cold before I even took a sip. Ethan sat across from me in the tiny diner just a block from the hotel, his hands wrapped around his mug like he needed the heat to keep him steady. The city outside the rain-speckled window pulsed with its usual chaos. But in here, time crawled. Neither of us spoke. And maybe that was the worst part, how silence between us wasn't neutral. It was a battlefield. Finally, I said it. We can't do this again. Ethan's lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. Do what? This. I gestured between us, as if the space we shared was poisonous. Whatever this is, sitting across from you like we're still us. He leaned forward, eyes never leaving mine. Maybe we are still us. I almost laughed, bitter, sharp. We burned down us years ago, Ethan. There's nothing left. His gaze softened in that infuriating way it always did when I tried to push him away. You're wrong. You wouldn't have called me if there was nothing left. I hated him for being right, I hated myself more for wishing he was. The next days blurred, yet each moment with him carved itself into me like fresh wounds. He didn't leave the city, didn't vanish the way I expected. Instead, he lingered at the edges of my life, orbiting me with quiet persistence. One night, after too many drinks with coworkers who didn't really matter, I found him waiting outside the bar. His hair was damp from the drizzle, his jacket pulled tight against the cold. "What are you doing here?" I asked, shoving my hands into my pockets. "Making sure you get home safe," he replied. "I don't need your help. I know. But I'm here anyway." The words hit me harder than they should have. It wasn't about needing him, it was about wanting him. And wanting him was dangerous. We walked through the streets side by side, our shoes splashing in shallow puddles, shoulders brushing now and then. Each accidental touch burned like fire. I wanted to step away. I wanted to close the distance. "You shouldn't follow me around like this," I muttered. Ethan let out a low laugh, the kind that used to make me ache. "Maybe I'm just walking the same streets as you. Not everything has to be a chase." But it was. We both knew it. 2 weeks slipped by before I realized he had started slipping back into the cracks of my life. He remembered how I liked my coffee. He still hummed under his breath when he cooked, the same off-key notes that once drove me crazy in the kitchen of the apartment we shared. He sat too close when we ended up in the same cab, his knee brushing mine like an old habit. And I let it happen, because the truth was simple. I had never stopped loving him. But love was never the problem. Trust was. One evening I snapped. We were in my apartment. The city sprawled outside my window, lights flickering like stars. Ethan was leaning against the counter, his arms crossed, watching me with that same frustrating patience. "Why are you here, Ethan?" I demanded. "What do you want from me?" He looked at me for a long time before answering. "I want you." My chest tightened. "You don't get to say that. Not after what you did." His face shifted, shadows flickering across his expression. "I know I hurt you." "Hurt me?" I barked out a laugh, bitter and broken. "You destroyed me. You walked out when I needed you the most. Do you remember that night? Do you even care?" His voice cracked. "I remember everything." And then he told me. It was the first time he had spoken about the night he left. The subway platform, the fight that burned hot and ugly, the way I begged him to stay and he turned away. For years I thought it was because I wasn't enough, because I was too much, because loving me was never worth the wait. But Ethan's voice shook as he confessed. "I left because I was scared. I thought I wasn't strong enough for the life you wanted. I thought I would ruin you if I stayed." My throat closed. "You did ruin me," I whispered. He flinched but didn't look away. "I know. And I've regretted it every day since." The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd ever had. I wanted to throw him out, slam the door, end this nightmare of almosts and maybes. But I didn't, because behind the anger, behind the years of resentment, there was still love. Stupid, relentless love. I crossed the room before I knew what I was doing. My hand gripped his shirt, my chest heaving. His breath mingled with mine, warm, unsteady. "You don't get to come back," I hissed. "Then tell me to leave," he whispered back. Couldn't. So I kissed him, and it was like drowning and breathing at the same time. That night changed everything. It didn't fix us. It didn't erase the years of pain. But it cracked the wall we'd built. Let something raw and desperate bleed through. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan became a constant again. We fought. We laughed. We fell back into old rhythms that felt too easy, too dangerous. But beneath it all, I knew the truth. We were heading toward a breaking point, because loving him meant risking it all over again. And I wasn't sure if my heart could survive losing him twice. I woke the next morning tangled in sheets that smelled like him. My body ached with memory off lips on mine, hands gripping, the way his breath had hitched when I let him back in. For a moment, I let myself sink into it. For a moment, I pretended it was years ago, before the subway platform, before the silence, before the heartbreak. But reality crept in like a draft under the door. Ethan was already up, standing at my window, shirtless, the early light catching the lines of his back. He looked carved out of longing, a man who wanted to be closer but knew he shouldn't. "Don't look at me like that," I muttered. He turned, eyebrows raised. "Like what?" "Like you're still mine." He flinched, and for a heartbeat, I hated myself for saying it. The days that followed blurred in a haze of contradictions. We kissed like we were starving. We fought like we wanted to kill each other. We laughed like nothing had changed at all. But beneath every moment was the echo of our past. Every time he touched me, I remembered the night he walked away. Every time I let myself smile at him, I felt the crack in my chest widen. I told myself it couldn't last. And I was right. The first real fight came fast. It was a rooftop party in Brooklyn. Music thumped through the night air, lights strung above us swaying in the breeze. People danced, laughed, smoked, drank, but I only saw him. Ethan, leaning against the railing, talking to some guy with too much confidence and too perfect a jawline. Jealousy hit me like a punch. It was stupid, irrational, but it clawed at me until I couldn't breathe. I stalked over, my voice sharp. Making new friends? Ethan blinked, startled, then frowned. We were just talking, right? Talking. I scoffed, shoving past him. Don't do this, he warned, catching my arm. Do what? Pretend you're not flirting with someone else while I'm standing right here. The guy raised his hands, muttered something about not wanting trouble, and slipped away. Ethan's grip on me tightened. Jesus, you think everyone's a threat. Maybe because you left me once, Ethan. Maybe because I know exactly how easily you can walk away. The words hit like shrapnel. His jaw clenched, his eyes darkened. And maybe you'll never let me forget it. For a second, the rooftop tilted beneath me. I wanted to scream, to hit him, to kiss him all at once. Instead, I tore my arm free and walked away, leaving him in the crowd. I didn't answer his calls that night, or the next day, or the day after. But Ethan was nothing if not persistent. He showed up at my apartment, rain-soaked, his knuckles red from knocking too long. You can hate me all you want, he said when I finally cracked the door. But you don't get to ignore me. Watch me. I spat, slamming the door in his face. I pressed my back against the wood, my chest heaving, tears burning my eyes. But I didn't open it again. Not that night. What scared me most wasn't his persistence. It was how much I wanted to give in. Every time I caught a glimpse of him at the coffee shop across from my office, on the subway platform where we once fell apart, waiting outside the bar where he knew I'd be, felt my resolve crumble. Because the truth was simple, he was everywhere. And maybe, deep down, I wanted him to be. The breaking point came one late night. He found me on a rooftop, not a party this time. Just me, alone with the city spread out like a wound beneath me. You're going to catch pneumonia up here, he said softly, stepping closer. Go away. No, I turned, anger flaring. Why do you keep doing this? Why can't you just leave me alone? His eyes were wet, his voice breaking. Because I love you, and I never stopped. The world spun. The city lights blurred. My knees nearly gave out. I laughed, sharp and hollow. Love? You don't get to use that word. You lost the right years ago. He stepped closer. So close I could feel the warmth of him against the cold night. Then tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me last night didn't mean anything. Tell me you don't still want me. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out, because he was right, and it terrified me. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I kissed him like it was a punishment, and he kissed me back like it was salvation. But love isn't a straight line. It's jagged, brutal, messy. The next weeks tore us apart and pulled us back together in equal measure. We kept circling the same wound, pressing against it, reopening it, pretending the bleeding wasn't real. Friends noticed. My coworkers whispered. My reflection in the mirror became a stranger, someone split between fury and longing, between survival and surrender. Ethan was the storm, and I was the idiot who kept walking into it. But storms always break, and ours was coming. The night everything fell apart was the night I realized just how much I could lose. It wasn't the fights or the jealousy or even the silence that broke me. It was the moment I saw Ethan standing at the edge of that rooftop, the city sprawling beneath him, his shoulders heavy with the weight of years of regret. He wasn't going to jump God. I knew that, but the way he stood there, like he had nothing left to hold on to, carved me open. I had hurt him. We had hurt each other. And maybe that was the real tragedy. Didn't just break once, we broke over and over, until it felt like there was nothing left but sharp edges. Ethan? I whispered, stepping closer. He turned, eyes red-rimmed, his mouth pressed tight. Maybe you're right, he said hoarsely. Maybe we don't work. Maybe we never did. The words sliced through me. For years, I had wanted him to admit it, to say it out loud so I could finally move on. But hearing it in his voice was unbearable. I shook my head, my throat closing. Don't you dare. Don't I dare what? His voice cracked. Don't I dare admit that I ruined the best thing that ever happened to me? That I've been trying to make up for it ever since? That no matter what I do, I can't seem to stop loving you. I froze. The city roared beneath us, horns blaring, sirens wailing. But all I heard was him. He stepped closer, his eyes wild with desperation. You want the truth? Fine. I wake up every morning thinking about the sound of your laugh. I can't walk past the subway without remembering the night I left you standing there. And I can't breathe when I think about you with anyone else. Tears blurred my vision. My chest felt too tight, my lungs refusing to fill. Then why? I whispered. Why did you leave me? He swallowed hard, his hands trembling at his sides. Because I was a coward. Because I didn't believe I was enough. And because I thought you deserved better than me. The sob broke out of me before I could stop it. You idiot, I said, my voice shaking. You were all I wanted. We argued, we doubted, we stumbled. But this time we didn't run. Ethan showed up. Every damn day he showed up. When I pushed, he pulled me closer. When I snapped, he listened. When I broke down, he held me like the world outside could wait. And slowly, I began to believe him. To believe us. One Sunday morning, we walked through Central Park, coffee cups in hand, the air crisp with early spring. Children ran past us, couples strolled hand in hand, and for the first time in years, I felt steady. Ethan nudged me gently. What are you thinking? I glanced at him, at the boy who once shattered me, at the man who was trying so damn hard to put me back together. That maybe we're not broken anymore. He smiled, soft and a little sad. We'll always have cracks. But maybe that's what makes us stronger. I reached for his hand. This time I didn't pull away. The last test came quietly. My friends, those who had disappeared that night in the hotel, finally asked, why him? Why go back? Why risk the pain again? And I told them the truth. Because love isn't safe. It isn't neat. It isn't easy. Love is terrifying. Love is giving someone the power to destroy you and trusting them not to. And somehow, against every reason, against every scar, I trusted Ethan again. On the morning of his birthday, we stood on the Brooklyn Bridge, the city glowing in golden light. The river shimmered, the air alive with the hum of traffic and possibility. Ethan turned to me, his expression open, vulnerable. You know, he said softly, if I could go back, I'd change everything. I'd never let you go. I cupped his face, my thumb brushing away the tear that slid down his cheek. Maybe we needed to break to understand how much we mattered. His lips curved in that familiar, boyish smile that once made me fall, and still did. So, what now? I leaned my forehead against his, closing my eyes. Now, we live, we fight, we love, and this time, we don't let go. And for the first time in years, I believed it. I believed in us. The city roared on, endless and indifferent. But in that moment, on that bridge, with Ethan's hand in mine, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Peace. Because the truth was simple, we had broken. We had bled. But we had survived. And our love was still here. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.